What's the best thing ever happened to you? This is tame, but it made me cry at the time. My cat suddenly got an infection and needed care as soon as possible. I'm a student and don't make much money and didn't have enough for the vet bills. I posted something asking people for small donations or exposure, if at all possible, as I was desperate and didn't know what else to do, and my cat means the world to me. Some incredible, kind stranger who I will never forget donated $200 and told me that whatever was left over, to spend it on myself and my cat for a treat. I asked what I could ever do to repay him, and he said just pay it forward. I think about this constantly, and I will pay it forward 5 times over before I feel that it's even near equal to the kindness this stranger showed me and my cat. Edit. Forgot about cat tax. Got reminded, so enjoy Moody. Link. Married to my best friend, and my girlfriend wasn't too happy about it. Changing careers. Being poor sucks ass. Being able to buy things and take care of myself is a wonderful feeling. This hits me because I changed careers again. The pandemic left me unemployed and I had to think fast with the only skill I have, which is drawing. Also, I have a fetish with some NSFW themes. I started a Patreon subscribe star and that has saved me from suicide thoughts and being poor. People love my content and the community is incredibly supportive and open-minded. People are the most authentic I have seen, and I feel loved and supported. I can't believe that since 2016 I can finally tell I have a stable source of income and I can finally plan for the future. I love open-minded people. Meeting my current wife. We are both in our early 70s. I was days away from being evicted and I got a huge tip while I was waiting tables at Buffalo Wild Wings. I talked to this guy, maybe 35 yo, about Harry Potter for only like 15 minutes because he was wearing an HP shirt. Nothing too crazy stuck out about the conversation, except that you could tell he was a little different and he was there with his parents and enthusiastic about HP. It was a slow night and I enjoyed that someone wanted to just talk and be friendly. They paid their check and left. I went to bus the table and found they left me a $300 tip on a $50 check and said thanks for the conversation. I started bawling cause I was able to pay my rent and not get kicked out, and was blown away that someone would do something like that. I've since done okay financially and hope to someday return the gesture to someone else. These people will never know the impact they had on my life. Weird one, but having my heart broken. I was absolutely infatuated with her and revolved my entire life around her. After it was over, it shattered me down to the very core of me, and I had to build myself back up again, learning to love myself and create a better, more well-rounded human being that could emote in a mature and responsible way. It was a crushing, agonizing pain when it happened, and it was the best thing that has ever happened to me. A few years back, a friend of mine was going out of state to go work at a golf tournament selling beer. One of their foursome backed out last second and needed someone to take the spot at the Airbnb they rented. I was in a good spot to be able to take 2 weeks off from my minute-wage warehouse job and was feeling adventurous and said yes. Took a bus down there with one of my buddies who was staying with us, and we arrived and got picked up by my buddy who got me to come and the girl who set it all up. We worked 2 weeks and it was a blast. We worked hard, played harder, and made bank. It really was a super fun trip, but the best part was that girl that picked us up. We get married next summer. Accidentally knocked up this hostess I worked with. I had been trying and failing to get sober for nearly 8 years. Had 2 years clean in the middle there, but wasn't happy, which kept leading me back to alcohol. When she found out she was pregnant, I didn't for a second think she'd want me in their lives. But she's an amazingly beautiful person. She told me what she expected of me and believed in me. Everyone else had given up on me long ago. The combination of loving support and the desire to stay sober for unborn baby was the motivation I needed to finally kick it. I'll have 10 years sober in January. We now have 2 kids and our 8-year anniversary in next week. Beating cancer. A family member became a flight attendant and I became their travel companion. Traveling would be completely out of my budget, but I've gotten to fly first class to a lot of countries for a couple $100 round trip. I had a good run before COVID. My parents had unprotected sex. I don't know where I'd be if that didn't happen. My mom dying when I was 15. She wasn't a bad person, but she wasn't good. I know she cared about us. She just had a manipulative side to her. She would weaponize us against our dad, and it left scars. I was her biggest weapon, because my dad isn't my biological father, but he has raised me since birth. He is a goddamn saint. She would threaten to tell him I wasn't his biological kid, or threaten to take away his ability to see me. She had a tendency to be violent and manipulative. She was also bad with money management, and I grew up on the poor side. She got cancer when she was 34 and died at 36. My sister and I got to move in with my dad. It was rough at first, but I went from poor to middle class. I wasn't constantly fighting with my mom anymore. I didn't have to put up with her establishing her dominance by pulling my hair, because I wouldn't fight back. I was finally free. I still bear the scars of my childhood, and yeah, part of me wishes she was alive and for our relationship to have been mended, but we would have destroyed each other. I know it. Without her toxic influence, I managed to work on myself and my anger problems. That life is a different life. Sobriety. I'd probably be dead by now. Getting dumped by the bad one and getting married to the good one. Having my life saved by a complete stranger. I was diagnosed with leukemia a few years ago, day before the birthday. Yay. Eventually found that it was extremely aggressive. After 5 rounds of chemo didn't work out too well. Only hope was a bone marrow transplant. A perfect match was found. Only thing I knew was that it was a female. This wonderful person gave up their time and their marrow for someone they knew nothing about. She could have backed out at any time, but didn't. Thankfully, she didn't. And also thankfully, the transplant worked out well. I'm 4 years post and doing well. After a year, if both donor and recipient agree, contact information can be shared. We both agreed and became fast friends. We text daily, call, video chat on holidays, and get each other presents on Christmas and birthdays. She has become one of my closest friends, and I am incredibly thankful, like I can't even put in words. Despite being 3,000 miles apart, we hope to meet in person next year. Other than my wife and kid, I was preparing to give my 2 weeks notice at my call center job, as I had gotten a much better job in my actual field. Probably about 3 or 4 days before I planned to give my notice, they laid me off and gave me 1 month's pay. It was amazing. 2005-ish. We had just gotten broadband again. After moving, long story, went to pick up a new PC game to celebrate. It was between Call of Duty 2 or Battlefield 2142. I picked COD 2 since I dug World War II history. Became interested in making my own maps with the free level editor. Did it through college as a fun hobby, and was poached by TVI to move to CA to work on the game as a designer. Did it for the better part of a decade before leaving. I met my beautiful wife at the office, and now we have 2 kids. Careers making games. And couldn't be happier. I can still remember standing there in a KB Toys of all places to buy games, thinking, yeah, I don't know, I still kind of like World War II games, I'll go with this one. Funny how things work out. Getting divorced. The best thing that ever happened to me was the death of my ex. We met in high school and were together 9 years. He cheated on me multiple times with multiple women, including my best friend. He was manipulative and emotionally abusive. He was an incredibly intelligent and captivating person, but he had a lot of demons, including mental health issues and several addictions. I finally broke up with him when I moved away for grad school, but he wouldn't accept it, and he started stalking and threatening me. I blocked him on everything and changed my phone number, but he inevitably found new ways to contact me and make my life miserable. When I found out he died of a drug overdose, I started sobbing uncontrollably. It was partially guilt that I hadn't been able to help him, but also gratitude and relief that I would never have to see him or deal with his abuse again. His death freed me from near constant fear and dread. It's been 6 years and I'm now happily married to a wonderful man and have 2 beautiful children and a fulfilling career. Ending my engagement during the pandemic. To be fair, I decided to call it off the week before the pandemic started. He owns restaurants and has a kid, so we stayed together in case the restaurants failed. They didn't. So a month or so later I left. For the first time at 28 I lived alone. I also went on first dates, or my exes were previous friends. So I never went on real dates before. A year later, I'm in the healthiest, most fun and positive relationship I've ever had. We just moved in together and are creating what I always pictured to be my ideal life and relationship together. If I hadn't taken that leap to leave everything that was comfortable in the middle of a pandemic nonetheless, I wouldn't be the person I'm today. I was pretty anxious, insecure and non-social before I met my boyfriend, and he helped me break through all of that. It's crazy how your mental health and life can change when you have a great support system. I went to a zoo which rehabilitates poorly animals in the hopes of releasing them back into the wild. I went for a day out and to support the cause. Because floofs, they have many types of animals and is a great place. I should note it was a warm summer day and I was in a dress. Each day, if you got to the penguin enclosure early enough, they allow visitors to go in and feed the penguins. Penguins are by far my favorite animal, so of course I had to go and try be one of the chosen. I got picked. I was so happy. All the chosen few had to line up against the back wall, after which a keeper came round with a bucket of fish of which you pick one and hold this until they allow the penguins to come up to you. On this particular day a rebel penguin decided that he was going to play up to the visitors and try make a break for it whilst the fish were being handed out. He ran around the back of the line, then stopped at me and nibbled the back of my leg. It wasn't hard and didn't hurt or break the skin, but it absolutely made my day, week, month, year and decade. Too long didn't read. I was a chosen human nibbled by a penguin, and it was the best moment of my life. My mom died last year. Best day ever. She was a malignant narcissist who spent her life hurting other people. I know she was a sick person, but there's no excuse for abject cruelty, abandonment, and selfishness. Lockdowns. The only reason I graduated high school is that they didn't give us the final exam which I was going to fail, and allowed everyone with an above average general grade to pass. I know this will get buried, but my husband, I met him a week before my dad was diagnosed with cancer and found out we were pregnant a week after my dad died. I literally would have died of a broken heart or drinking myself to death without my dad, but my husband really has gotten me through and in many ways saved my life. I needed to pay off my car and I didn't have the money because of miscommunication with my job. Shortly after, my college gave me a refund and I was able to make the last payment. Someone referred my parents to specialist after telling them I was deaf. My parents went to doctors and specialists. It seemed no one could figure out what was wrong. I went to a children's center and the woman there told my parents to get me tested. It led me to getting cochlear implants, which I got when I was 4, and I have had a pretty good life. In a weird way, sticking my dick in crazy, rebound relationship. She seemed sane until I started emerging from my depression. Someone had to be crazy in that relationship. So as I got more sane, she got crazier. I broke it off. She stalked me, tried to get me fired from my job, screaming outside my apartment at 1 AM. The works. I became a nervous wreck for a while. Got out of the dating scene because I didn't trust anyone I was attracted to. Thought long hard about my assumptions about relationships. Realized I had some screwed up ideas, expectations. It wasn't them. It was me. I was picking them. Did a lot of hard work on myself to learn what a healthy relationship felt like. Slowly, gradually got closer to a longtime friend. Very cautiously. Turned out she was the healthiest person I ever met. We've been married 20 years now. Having my daughter. Nothing beats that. Becoming friends with a person I met on WoW somewhere between 2008, 2010 I think. During Wattlekind almost got to meet Hug in real life, but the plans for that were delayed, since it was right when the pandemic started last year. We shared many things with each other over the years and have supported each other through a lot. Started at zero. Grew up with not much. Just grateful for every opportunity I can take. I try my best and now I'm hoping to move out and live on my own, or with a friend one day, to make videos on YouTube. Once in the gym a buff guy asked to if he could join me on a machine, so he could do it between my sets, and now comes the good part. First he told me I had a nice form at the exercise, and then when it was his turn he got on, tried one rep, and said duck, this is heavy. He got off to remove a weight from it. I have never felt better about myself and my body in my life, especially since he was visibly muscular while I still had a layer of fat hiding it.